Hey. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music, and this right here is Urban Politics, where politics lives. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing. Liking and subscribing as you do. As soon as you have a chance, please take your cell phone over to YouTube and like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Phys Ed Music, Urban Politics. But without further ado, I want to jump right into it like a car and drive because there's all types of tasty and delicious politics to sink our teeth into, all types of great stuff to talk about. Check this out. Let's go ahead and start with this is interesting. How there was an Ohio bill that would let Ohioans sue over an unintended pregnancy. Yeah. Senator Tina Maharath, and I'm probably messing her name, I apologize, introduced legislation that would allow pregnant people to sue a sexual partner for causing an unintended pregnancy. In an effort to level the playing field when it comes to the steep cost of raising a child, aka a pregnancy. They say in the legislation, they say when it comes to the steep cost of a pregnancy, all this is laughable. We'll talk about that in a minute. Senate Bill 262. Under that, pregnant Ohioans would be able to file civil suit no later than 5 years after conception. And they, if they won, they would be granted $5,000 plus court costs and attorney fees. Ohio Right to Life President Mike, I'm going to butcher this too, Gonadakis, said Senator Maharath and other Republicans need to find actual solutions to protect women and children. He added, as usual, pro-life politicians offer gimmicks and slapstick humor as solutions to women's issues. This legislation will never see the light of day. Those were also his comments. He is correct on that. What makes this laughable is just remember that number right there, $5,000 plus court costs. Now, this legislation, it will never see the light of day because, first of all, it assumes that whoever this woman gets pregnant by even has this $5,000. And what happened if he doesn't? He would just go to jail, so he'd just be another person in jail. This woman still wouldn't even get $5,000, which isn't even a fraction of the actual cost of raising a child. So what are they talking about here? This legislation is stupid on its face. First of all, they said right now, if you had a child in 2022, the lifetime cost of raising it to 18 years old would be $272,049, right? They talking about $5,000. See what I'm saying? That's not even a fraction of that, which is ridiculous. And so I looked this up just before the show. So this right here is in real time. If you had a child right now in 2022, you took care of that child, you loved that child, you nurtured that child, you put a home, you gave that child a home, you fed it, you clothed it, all of that, you will have spent $272,049. They talking about this, a woman who gets an unintended pregnancy could take a guy or whoever to court and get $5,000 plus court costs and attorney fees. Yeah, because we got to make sure that the attorneys get paid and the courts get paid, right? Anyway, that's why this is silly right here. But I had to bring that up. It'll never see the light of day. It shouldn't. Once again, this is an example of Republicans creating problems by breaking, 50 years of precedent by wanting to change a law because they got to bug up their butt. And then this is how they pretend, to come with solutions to the problem they created. They pretend because even they know this ain't no solution. This is a joke. This was a joke right here. But I had to mention it because this is what they offer women. So ladies, when the midterms come around, remember how they said, oh yeah, we took away your bodily autonomy, but here's what we'll offer to give you in place of that. And how they basically laughed in your face. Anyway, moving on. That's interesting though. Anyway, let's talk about some local stuff. Let's bring it home, right? All politics is local. Let's get local with it, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Ryan is beating J.D. Vance in the polls on the Grow Progress platform. Now, this blows me away, right? Check out these numbers. Tim Ryan, 46%. J.D. Vance, 41%. So that means Tim Ryan is a whole 5% ahead of J.D. Vance. That's not a whole lot, but that's something to look at right there. That's definitely should raise an eyebrow. JD Vance is far behind Ryan, but he's got heavy money heavy money to come in due to the GOP. There's a GOP PAC that this billionaire by the name of Peter Thiel has given $15 million to, and they said he's not done yet. He's already donated $15 million to Mr. Vance. He's due to donate a lot more. This guy obviously has extremely deep pockets. Welcome to the GOP. In 3 polls, though, conducted by this outlet, it had Tim Ryan as the winner. In the latest poll, 10% of Republicans indicated support for Ryan. That right there is amazing. So think about that. They did this poll 3 times. 3 times Ryan came out the winner, when it came in the horse race between him and Vance. And then in the last poll, 10% of Republicans was like, hey, look, I'm a Republican. I rep the R, but I probably give it to Ryan over JD Vance. Which is hilarious. And now that I think about it, now look, when I first thought about this story and how I was going to, view it and commentate on it, I thought that, here's just another situation of Republicans. They always like to find somebody who's a star and with a name. Boom, they throw their name behind them. And he doesn't have any background. He doesn't have any frame of reference for the job. But since he's a flossy person who was on TV or had a book or whatever, people end up voting for him because of that name recognition. They've done it since Ronald Reagan. They did it with Donald Trump. So here they are trying to do it again. But I like how it looks like people in Ohio were like, man, we ain't stupid. And Midwesterns are skeptics. Midwesterns are skeptics. They always say that. I've always, I get into comedians and people who have been con artists. Sometimes I'll see documentaries on con artists and stuff. And a lot of them will talk about not even wanting to do stuff in the Midwest. Because they said people in the Midwest are skeptics. People around here question everything. So I like the fact that here in Ohio, it looks like they had to question that. Like, this guy, come on, man. 10% of Republicans here in Ohio is like, JD Vance, he wrote a book. Hillbilly Eulogy, what does that mean? Has this ever guy, he didn't serve nothing. He don't know nothing about serving nobody. He don't know nothing about being a civil servant. So that's great that people are paying attention. I like to see that. So that's interesting. Once again, Trump is backing this guy, JD Vance. Why? Because he's famous. He's got that name. He wrote a book, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't say anything about him knowing anything about pushing legislation or helping anybody but himself. So a TI is what a TI is. Tim Ryan, he's not necessarily who I wanted to get the nomination, but I will be voting for him because I definitely like Tim Ryan a lot better than JD Vance. So that is what that is. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's for the Ohio State Senate. So that's huge right there. And it is what it is, man. Think about that. 10% of Republicans was like, man, I got to go ahead and break party rank with this right here. Because why they trying to give me this dude who wrote a book or whatever, but he ain't never served in office. He don't know nothing about being a governor. At least give me this dude. He's a Democrat, but at least his resume, he got, serving. He's been governor for a while. You know what I'm saying? So, or not. I'm sorry, senator. So there it is. You know what I'm saying? That, Tim Ryan has experience being a senator. This guy, JD Vance, has experience writing books. I'm thinking some other stuff. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the January 6th hearings. Now, that's what's been going on. Oh, that was another thing, too, that was actually leading me into this to piggyback on that other story about JD Vance and Tim Ryan. I think that's another thing that's turning 10% of these Republicans off. They've been paying attention. They've been watching these January 6 hearings, as have a lot of people, right? Now, lately, what just broke, just recently, they talked about how Steve Bannon got 2 charges of contempt of court, and he got 1 charge of contempt of court for blowing off the congressional subpoena. They're like, yo, you need to come and holler at us. He's like, nah, I'm not coming. You don't do that. How you just gonna tell Congress I'm not coming to holler at you? You don't do that. So he got in trouble for that. And then he also got one for not producing documents. Because, of course, they wanted to see some stuff. And he acted like he ain't got the stuff they want to see, so he ain't giving it to them. You also got charged for that, too, right? And this is Huge right here. Now, Liz Cheney and some other Republicans who are on that committee and some other people who are on that committee were saying that this was a huge win for the rule of law. It is. Because you can't just thumb your nose at Congress. If you thumb your nose at Congress, there has to be retribution. There has to be some accountability. As you see, this guy, the whole time he's been talking about F Congress, how he ain't going to participate, how he's staying with Trump and all that. I think that was the message he put out. I stand with Trump. Okay, well, you can stand with Trump. You'll be standing behind bars, sir, if you don't bring your raggedy in here and answer some questions. And of course, when he get in there, this is still America, so he still has the right to be like, I plead the fifth. What about blah, 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 blah. I plead the fifth. What? See what I'm saying? You see these guys on C-SPAN, and they'll give you an hour, hour and a half of this dude pleading the fifth. Welcome to America. Welcome to law. But it is what it is. He still had to humble himself. You know what I'm saying? Put his tail between his legs and come on in there, because you cannot thumb your nose at Congress. But this is interesting too, because there's plenty of people who act like, I got subpoena with, I'm just not going. Now they see that Liz Cheney and them are like, oh, don't get it twisted. We will make a referral to the Department of Justice, and they will get you and they will physically drag you in here if you don't want to just come on your own. We can do that. This is still America, and this is the federal government. We trump all governments. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? So a TI is what a TI is. He had to come in there. And then talked about, and this just broke, I think, maybe a couple hours ago today. Talked about how Ginny Thomas, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Clarence Thomas's wife, you know what I'm saying? She said that hopefully, that's what Liz Cheney said. Hopefully she'll come in on her own to testify. But if not, we will subpoena her as well if need be. That's what she said. She said hopefully Jenny Thomas will come in on her own. If she does not, then we have no problem subpoenaing her. And there it is. That's what it is. They like, guess what? We will have some cops go get her and drag her in here too if that's how she wanted. And that's where they're at right now. But that's what definitely needs to happen, because if there's no accountability, if people do not see people paying a price for storming the Capitol, for trying to steal elections, and all of that good stuff, then it will happen again and again and again. I venture to say it's going to happen again anyway. So it's just how do we deal with it, right? Anyway, moving on. I want to talk about also some people who are, you know what I'm saying, who I would say are the people to give big ups, you know, for this whole January 6th hearings and stuff. Benny Thompson, that brother, he the chairman, you know what I'm saying, of the committee. He been getting it in, and all this good stuff you've been seeing happening. He been a part of it. Liz Cheney. Think about that. Okay, now Benny Thompson, he's a Democrat, so this wasn't too hard for him. But Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, hold up. Let's take it step by step. Liz Cheney, her last name is Cheney. For some of you young folk, that don't mean nothing. For a guy like me, I'm 46 years old. I know about Dick Cheney, her dad, and he was a beast, and I'm not giving him any love. I agree with that man on nothing. Nothing, right? But he revolutionized the vice presidency, because he did a lot of stuff in there that, I mean, man, you would have to have huge cojones to do, and he did it. You know, and I'm not giving him any praise at all. This isn't positive. I'm just saying, you know, when I put on my political hat, I'm like, he was a political beast. He was a monster, right? But that was her father. He was the Republicans' Republican. But here you have his daughter stepping up, going against her gang, and doing the right thing. Hats off to her. And I never in a million gazillion fulfilling years thought that I would say Liz Cheney is a great person and is doing something that I totally agree with and I think is great. I would have never ever thought those words would come out of my mouth and I wouldn't be telling a joke or being funny. But nah, you know what I'm saying? This woman, yeah, she went there. She went against her whole gang. It was Adam Kinzinger. This guy went against his whole gang. I talked about it on the show, man. This dude getting letters from his family. They mad at him for keeping it real, saying the dude who, you know what I'm saying, fomented an insurrection and tried to get, you know, me and some of our co-workers killed. He deserves, to have some retribution for that. He should probably do some jail time for that. And his family gonna write him letters about how he a bad person, about how God is not with him. That was wild. I reported on it here on the show. So my point is, some of these people, man, they had to do some hard stuff, but they did it. So hats off to them. Miss Cheney, Mr. Kinzinger, hats off to them. And guess what? Mr. Kinzinger, he summed it up. So, you know what I'm saying? I round out this whole thing with some words that he said that I think are just so poignant right now. And I got to keep it moving because I see my time moving. But check this out. Mr. Kinzinger said, whatever your politics, whatever you think about the outcome of the election, we as Americans must all agree on this. Donald Trump's conduct on January 6th was a supreme violation of his oath of office and a complete dereliction of his duty to our nation. It is a stain on our history. Feel them words, man. That's bars right there. He should have dropped the mic after. Should have threw the mic to the floor after that. What? Feel him on that. And that's a Republican talking. That's why I said I got respect for that man. I have to have respect for that party ultimately, don't I? Because some of them did have a little courage of their convictions and went against their gang, went against the grain, which is hard to do sometimes. Hard to do all the time. A lot of times people do what? What's politically expedient. They didn't do that. They stepped outside what's politically expedient and said, let me go ahead and do the right thing. I know it's novel. It's not done much. It's frowned upon in Washington. But let me go ahead and do the right thing, especially in that party. But that's what they did. So kudos to them. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about the last thing I'm going to talk about. This young folk and abortion. Young folk and abortion. The Public Religion Research Institute, or PRRI, finds that younger Americans are trending more in support of reproductive rights, aka abortion. Historically, age has not been a significant factor on attitudes about abortion. Millennials aged 18 to 29 were no more supportive of abortion rights than older Americans. A poll done in March of this year, so it's very recent, found that 18 to 29, a poll done in March of this year found that 72% of Americans ages 18 to 29, which combines some Gen Z and some millennials, believe abortion should be legal. But only 64% of all Americans 30 and over believe this. So that's interesting, isn't it? That right there shows you how things have changed. They said back in the past, age wasn't really the marker of how people felt about this abortion thing, you know. And that's why I said this abortion fight, it will rage on for a long time. It's not going nowhere for a long time. People are going to have strong issues on either side. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Some people are like, hey, you know what I'm saying? There's pro-choice and there's people who are pro-life, right? So if you're pro-choice, you support a woman's right to choose. And if you're pro-life, you're supporting the life, of the child, or saying that, all life deserves a chance. I literally can see both sides. I do not have children though, right? So I feel like it's not necessarily my fight. I hate to be like that. But my mom always said to me, it's mama's baby, daddy's maybe. Some of that. At the end of the day, that's the truth though, ain't it? And the law lets you know that. As a father, you have absolutely no rights to your children, and they do that on purpose. Now, I do like to see, I'll say in recent years, things look like they're trying to change. But I know, in dealing with my own children in the system and stuff like that, as a father, you don't really have any rights to your children. Even, the powers that be know what's up. It's all about the mother. And guess what? I'm not discounting that or saying I even disagree with that at all. I don't disagree with that at all. Because women always end up doing the heavy lifting, don't they? And that's what even that legislation earlier that I was talking about was going towards. Talking about how it always ends up, falling on a woman. So they were saying this is a way that we'll find a way to try and soften that blow. But my point is that ain't softening the blow. How's that softening the blow when it costs $270-something, $100,000 to raise a child, but you're going to give her $5,000? What is that? She can sue for $5,000? That's not even a drop in the bucket. That is ridiculous. That's a joke. And that's why that legislation will never go anywhere. But it was interesting to bring it up because the fact that somebody would even waste time with that lets you know how serious they're not when it comes to women's issues and women's health care, right? Now, then I get to thinking to myself, because this is urban politics, right? How does this thing affect politics? So they were saying that at this time, 36% of women say that their vote depends on a candidate's stance on abortion, and 28% of men say that their vote depends on a candidate's stance on abortion. Now that's interesting numbers right there. It doesn't surprise me that it's 36% of women and 28% of men who bear the young, who have the children. Women! So, of course, a few more of them care than men. You know, I think that some of those men, it's only 28% of men because some of those men are like me, like, hey, I don't have children. So this is not my fight. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't even have a say in this fight, all like that. You know, my whole thing is that I support the woman. I support a woman's right to choose because I'm like, hey, it is her body. She has to do the heavy lifting. She is the one who has to, have that life growing in her for 9 months. I think it should be her decision. You know what I'm saying? If that guy wants to step up and be a man, great. If he doesn't, he always, has that out, and that's sad, but TI is what TI is, right? But who's left holding the bag? Her. So at the end of the day, it should be her decision on whether she wants to even have that bag be a factor of the matter. But with that, this is how that's implicating the politics, though. And the GOP didn't have to do this. They did this to themselves. Lately, that's what it's been with them, an overreach. I think they really overplayed their hand. Because guess what? Trump had already won them the Supreme Court. They already had that. They were already going into the midterms looking like they pretty much were going to win. They still could. I've reported right here on these numbers, but I would please say if you vote democratically or independent or whatever, whoever you are, please don't rest on your laurels thinking that your side will win. Go out there and vote. Vote, 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 vote. Because if you sit back resting on your laurels thinking that this will just take care of itself, it's not. So if you care about these issues and want to see some movement on these issues, please put some skin in the game, get out there and do something, say something. For real. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only thing that's going to move the needle on these things, if you even care about the needle being moved, right? But if you know what I'm saying, if you don't, then don't do anything. But don't complain about it when it don't come out the way you want it to come out. But like I said, the GOP, they overplayed their hand. They could have just laid in the cut, not did anything, not said anything, and then after the midterms, then came in with all this overturning Roe versus Wade and going after same-sex marriage and going after interracial marriage and all of that stuff. They could have waited on that, but they didn't. They showed their hand before the midterms. They should not have done that, because when you do that, you let people know what's up. People now, and that's why you're seeing a lot of these numbers that you're seeing of people kind of yielding towards the left, because they're like, oh my Lord, they on that? Yes, they're on that. But they said they was on that, and then when they actually show you they on that, you tripping like, oh, they on that? Yeah, they on that. Of course they were on that. So don't be surprised when they say they on that, and then they get power, and then they get on that. They on that anyway. It TI is what it TI is. This right here has been Urban Politics. I'm your humble host, Phys Ed Music. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing. As soon as you have a chance, please run on over to YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Phys Ed Music, Urban Politics, where politics lives. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, see you around like a donut.